Crossing Day, or I guess
It's the anniversary
okay.
of it coming out 1 year.
Yeah, so we are recording this on March 20th.
Yeah, you dated it.
And
he does that a lot.
Mm-hmm. I unintentionally wore a bunch of Animal Crossing clothes today.
Yeah, you have your I Eat Ass sweater on.
I do. Yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah, I have my I Eat Ass sweater, which is obviously from Animal Crossing.
Obviously.
I have Isabel socks on because I bought Animal Crossing socks last week. I have
Not
KK
waifu.
Slider nipple rings.
It's like a little sister. It's a different relationship.
We're just going to gloss past that.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah, just those three things.
Yeah. And not only that, but because that nearly marks the 1 year anniversary of
Doom was the same day.
Doom was the same day.
Yeah. And I was gonna say quarantine and pandemic because that was
we passed it.
That was
that was like a week before Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Not according to GameStop, if you ask them.
Oh right, well they're an essential business.
Well, they were essential for getting Doom and Animal
Listen,
Crossing. I guess.
If I'm gonna have to stay at home all by myself, I need friends. You can't just buy friends, but you can buy Funko Pops.
You can buy Animal Crossing.
Yeah, or Funko Pops.
All of my friends live in my Animal Crossing village.
But Funko Pops are better because their heads weigh like 10 pounds and the rest of them doesn't.
The Hello Kitty Funko Pop?
You put them down on the table and they instantly fall over, so you have to buy
It's
stands for them. It's great.
GameStop's kind of backing more away from physical merch, aren't they?
But it's so good.
Wasn't that not doing well for them?
Yeah, GameStop stopped selling Funko Pops. They're going less for a Hot Topic vibe and more like a Kmart going out of business vibe, which is dope.
One success to another.
Listen, they don't.
There's like a bin of games from like 2 years ago, and there's 3 in there, and one of them's a PSP game.
I stuck my hand in there once, and my hand got bitten and off.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need any business model
That's
anymore.
Reggie.
They got Wall Street bets
down there.
Oh right, yeah, I forgot.
Never forget the Wii U.
They're like, why are we stocking all this shit?
Yeah, when someone's just like gonna buy GameStop stock, what do they do? I don't know. They don't do anything. People just buy their stock. That's it. That's all they exist for.
And that's how the American stock market works.
Just got to get Reddit on your side. What is up, everybody, and welcome back again to the new and improved Hot Button. I'm Randall Beatrice. Around the table, a room with Austin Blakesley, Matt Nudeboom, and Chelsea Romano.
You're not supposed to talk over people. I feel like we've been over this.
I really wanted to interrupt him. I figured that would be a safe time to do it.
It's fair.
What's funny about today's topic, other than that it was briefly covered forever ago in our ESRB multi-parter, is that I actually wouldn't have guessed initially that the piece in question that we're going to discuss was even going to warrant its own full episode until this year when we played it. Night Trap, the campy interactive movie game for the Sega CD about stumbling vampires and hot ladies in ridiculous outfits that when it first hit the shelves in 1992 somehow became the beacon of endless controversies, all of which are crazy on its face.
See, this is why we need a soundboard, because if I had a soundboard, just so the audience and everybody knows, every time he said Night Trap, I would hit a button and it would play the part from the song where they go, Night Trap!
I feel like we all did that at the same time, too. We don't even need the soundboard.
Yeah, we could just do that in unison.
Yeah,
really,
Randy,
piss
Randy,
them
say
off.
a sentence with Night Trap in it real quick.
Oh, there'll be plenty coming up, don't worry. Now, what do I, a non-conservative, non-parent, non-government official, think of it? Well,
whoa, non-conservative? I didn't know this.
Well, it's shallow, difficult, short, and strangely enough, I kind of love it. So not only are we here to defend its place in gaming history, but also tell you the grander story of how it was made, followed, of course, by its wild release, massive blowback, and a rise to cult status. Something that originally was seen as tasteless smut can certainly appear rather innocuous by the standards of 2021, or even back in 92, depending on which sane person you ask. But that honestly wasn't what surprised me. No, what unexpectedly did that was really seeing the sheer depth and raw planning that it took just for this to make its way to market, as well as the total joy and self-awareness of its devoted team. I'm not necessarily going to plead with you all in any way that it's amazing, that it held up, etc., etc. I will, however, say it deserves another look and a bit of respect for the ambition and innovation that it was attempting for the time. It's a fun, stupid experience with a truly fascinating development. And frankly, it was a blast running through it together with you guys. So, before we find out why or how, what did everybody think?
Night Trap. You didn't say Night Trap.
I didn't.
I was waiting this whole time.
Yeah, I honestly didn't listen to a word you said. I was just waiting. I was just waiting for an opening. Yeah.
Well, around the table, starting with Chelsea. After all, you were the first to live through it with me, especially after I quickly toss you the controller upon losing after the opening. I'm going to say 90 seconds.
Yeah. Randall started when we were playing, and he immediately went, yeah, no, and I took the controller, and I
didn't say no. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
And I was like, let a man take over.
So just to give a bit of context for moving forward, did you want to run us through the setup and plot of the schlocky FMV sleepover thriller that is Night Trap?
It's a very easy to follow plot that you could definitely get by just playing the game.
And hold on, it's got to be safe to do this by now, right? With spoilers, I guess. Skip ahead if you don't want to know the heart pounding.
You're not going to be able to. You're not going to be able to get the story.
The thing
from
is,
the game
even
anyway.
if we spoil it, it doesn't change the game at all.
The
That's
plot,
that
has
is true.
nothing to do
Because
with
I'm sure Chelsea will get into it, but you have to watch the videos separately in order to get the plot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which
That's
we'll get
actually
to
a
when
good
we
point.
talked about mechanics.
Yes. And just for reference, you can complete the game in about total 25 minutes.
I thought it was 36.
No, I think it's like 28 or something on a perfect run.
On a perfect
rather.
run. I think I think
it is 25.
me and Austin played it, I think with errors and mistakes, it took us maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
But
We're talking about
But perfect run through, you can do it in about 30 minutes.
We'll round it to 30.
And what if we had to
Cool 30.
ballpark? Is it maybe about a dozen or so tries?
Yeah.
Unless you cheat, which I guess we.
It's very
could
okay.
argue
So
that-
should I just get into the plot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
The year is.
a bunch of kids are going missing near this lake. So they try to investigate this house that apparently has a family of vampires living in it. When they investigate the house, they find all these different traps and cameras and weird stuff. So this team, wonderfully named SCAT, which you are part of, which is
I forgot. Yeah.
special. Oh my god, I just looked it up and I don't remember.
Sega Control and Action Team or something?
Yes.
Wait,
But
it's actually Sega?
It was originally Sega,
was
but then
really
it becomes
Sega.
special
Control.
depending on what version. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're a part of SCAT, and SCAT has overwritten or
Like 12 years
overridden
old laughing.
overrided the cameras, so
Yes.
you control the cameras and the traps. However, I'm not going to get into that because that's more mechanics. What I'm here for is the drama-filled story of Night Trap. So
And there's shit going on.
there's a lot of shit going on. So this family of vampires, it's a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, and a cousin Tony.
Yeah.
Cousin
Yes.
Tony, who always wears sunglasses.
He wears his sunglasses at night.
Sunglasses at night.
Yeah.
It's too
And
fucking
it's
cool.
and it's very tough to tell at first who's related to who and who's on what side.
So Sarah, the daughter, invites a bunch of girls over for sleepover.
She's the
So
white gown.
Yeah, she met at the
Yeah.
mall, by the way.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
She met them at the
Okay.
mall,
She
and
like come to my
and
parents.
it's just like, hey, just come chill at my parents' house.
Just come to my house.
Yeah.
It was the 80s.
Sure,
Yeah.
that's
no
what
one,
you did.
No one was worried about anything.
Hop on
back
this
then.
woody wagon.
Yeah, stranger danger.
I think
was
they
the
did
90s,
drive
you
like
Yeah.
a like a wood panel.
There's multiple
car.
wood panel cars.
What were they singing when they were driving up in the
Night Trap.
No.
They are singing something.
They're singing 99 bottles of beer on the
Yeah,
wall.
but they're on like 98 when they get to
That's how far they were away from the mall.
They lived one house over.
They timed
apparently.
it perfectly. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't Spanish flu.
So yeah, so Sarah invites all these random girls over because the family's gonna kill them. Apparently,
Yep.
the family's gonna do it all together, but the mom and the dad, they have to go make a drop off of blood
Yes.
to the main villain. Well, kind of the side villains of
Yeah.
the minions of this game.
Augers.
Yeah.
The Augers or Augs.
Great name. Yes.
The,
Who
Augers.
are-
the putties.
Who are just
They are like
yeah, they are putties. They're deteriorated vampires who like don't have enough blood to survive. They could like just barely kind of wobble.
Yeah.
You know, they kind of like shuffle and they use like machines to get the blood out of people. So they're gonna go.
And we'll get into those.
Yeah, they're gonna go make this blood delivery off to these poor augurs, which I think is a line in that game.
That is.
specifically.
Think of the
Yeah.
poor augers.
Think of the poor augurs.
Isn't also? It's like the house is sort of like a winery. Is that?
The house is. It's supposed to kind of look like a winery because they bottle up the
Right, the
blood,
blood in
in
the
wine
wine.
bottles to make it less suspicious because,
Sometimes also in popsicle form, I guess.
Oh, God. Yeah, we'll get into that.
Oh.
That's part of the plot. That's my territory.
Sorry.
Also, it's like they're going to make a blood delivery to these things. Like, what area is infested with these things? Because there's like,
Where do they
They
live?
all,
I
yeah,
guess?
all 99 of
Yeah.
them live in the same
Yeah,
house.
yeah, they're all It's just like,
It's the sewers.
is there like a cave system like near this city where they're just like
They
infested?
don't, I wish they did. I want to know the lore.
That is,
Yeah.
I honestly very charming. It's like they came up with this very unique lore to this game. But continue.
So mom and dad leave, and brother, sister, and cousin Tony have to deal with all of the girls themselves. But what they don't understand, what they don't know is the augurs apparently get too hungry and they come to the house themselves.
They tricked him.
Yeah. So the plot of this story is like watching those girls live through this event of the augurs trying to like capture and kill them. And there's a bunch of side shit going on most of the time. But so basically they're like having a party. It's where the Night Trap song comes in because they're all like dancing around. And then cousin Tony comes in and realizes one of the girls looks like a woman he was in love with.
Oh right,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
Locket.
forgot the whole
I did.
the Locket side plot because what the fuck's going on in that game?
You got Eddie the neighbor. Great
Oh.
character.
The weird neighbor.
So
Him and the little kid.
Tony, I'm trying to do this like one
I know.
thread at a time.
Yeah.
So Tony tries to save the
Non-linear.
one girl, and he's like, "You got to get out of here because bad things happen in this
I'm looking out
house."
for you.
And oh my god, I didn't even bring up Kelly. Kelly, one of the girls, is actually a secret.
That's
scat
Donna Plato.
agent. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
a scat agent.
Undercover at the
Undercover
sleepover.
to
Yeah.
try to see what's going on in this house. So Tony's just like trying to get this girl out, and he's like, "You're gonna die in here, bad things happen." And Kelly tries to come save it, and she pulls out a gun, and Tony's like, "What do you think that's gonna do?" and teleports behind her and takes
like
the gun.
2 feet.
Yeah, and it makes like that perfect 80s teleport noise. So that's when they kind of find out that vampires are in the house. Meanwhile, 2 of the other girls are drinking blood popsicles out of a
Yeah,
fridge
like
and
you
then
do.
find a dead body in the kitchen.
Who's one of the scat guys.
Yeah,
that you can't save, yeah.
Yes, actually, several scat guys make like cameos, and that guy just
yeah,
eats it and, like
they're
immediately.
kinda wussies.
The plot's all over the fucking place.
And Donna, the undercover, she's the one who's
Kelly.
like Kelly. Sorry,
Yes.
Donna Plato's the actress.
Yeah.
She's the one who's kind of breaking the fourth wall and talking to you, the player.
She
the
does,
player,
yeah, she will look into the camera and be like, "You gotta save us!" Like
Yeah.
90% of that game is just her doing that.
Yeah, and of course, it's like by the time she starts doing that, it's like you're probably like a good 60% of the game. She's like, "Control, use the traps." You're like, "Why is
I
this
would have
thing-"
failed. I would
Yeah.
have failed by now if I wasn't
It's like-
using these
Yeah.
traps. Yeah, I get it. I know how the game works.
Yeah.
And in a narrative sense, she would have, I guess, like blown her cover.
Yeah,
as
she's
well
like
pretty quickly.
constantly just like staring right into these cameras.
kind of a newbie.
She was
higher in
she was the actress from
Different Strokes.
Different Strokes.
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
that's correct. Yeah, so that was they said that was like a lucky get for
It was a
them.
big get.
Yeah, that was like top.
Yeah,
billing.
we'll get into the actors a little bit during the filming, but I
Yeah,
think she
yeah.
was kind of the only significant name. Though some of the others have their,
Mm.
yeah.
So what else happens in that plot?
God, you're right. It is all over the place.
Yeah.
It's all okay.
You're getting
so then,
close to that final confrontation. and it's
meanwhile,
like-
while all this is happening,
yeah,
so one of the girls brings her little brother, And her little brother also is like kind of like sneaking around the house and kind of on his own figures out that there's vampires.
Yeah.
And then he meets this weird neighbor, Crazy Eddie.
Crazy Eddie.
Crazy Eddie.
And
Or is it Weird Eddie? I don't remember.
It's one of those two. And Crazy Eddie gives this little kid a vampire killing gun because that's something you should give children.
Yeah, he makes stuff.
It's like a weird. It's like. It kind of looks like a remote, but it's got like an antenna. It looks like a walkie-talkie,
Yes.
but it shoots like pure light, and it just completely kaboobs these
Sparks.
fucking augers.
Which is
like,
funny
just-
because the scat guys just straight up have guns.
yeah, they just have like shotguns and machine guns.
Yeah.
So this kid is kind of walking around and he sees the augers and he starts blowing them up.
Yeah.
But then Crazy Eddie or
He gets
Weird
an auger
Eddie
cost.
gets an auger
Yeah.
costume and then you never see him again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Like
does-
literally he comes in the house, the kid's about to zap him and he goes, no, it's me, look. And he does the weird laugh that you have to see a million times.
Yeah, we heard that many times.
You can die at that part so many times. You got to hear that
Yeah,
awful laughter.
Yeah, and you can
Checkpoints.
kill him too by accident. That's-
Yeah, and then it's like you guys even said the first time around you didn't even know who the hell this guy was.
No, we like never
No,
saw him in
yeah,
our run.
the first time we
Yeah.
saw him was when he gets in the house and he's like, and the kid's about to zap him and he's like, no, look, it's me. And we were like, who the fuck is that? But yeah, so then the rest of the game is you trying to save each girl one by one. There's not really much of a plot going on during that time. It's a lot of just jumping back and forth trying to save each one
Yeah.
as everyone's kind of running. It's like very Scooby-Doo. You know,
Yeah.
like everyone's running through different doors and shit. And then it all boils down to
the parents come back.
Yeah.
Mommy and daddy vampire.
Victor and Sheila, I
Yes,
believe.
yeah.
And
Victor's wonderful.
Victor is hamming it.
He's having a time of his life.
Those videos are worth watching
Yeah.
just for him because he is like full on Dracula vampire.
Whatever they were paying him, it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So they come home, they realize because they're like, the augers weren't there. The kids are like, Mom, Dad, augers are in the house. And then Scat shows up.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like that's like the climax
Yeah.
of this very coherent plot.
One of the
is-
scat guys comes in undercover or like
Yeah,
in disguise
we all-
as a neighbor
Y'all
boat.
seen my boat?
Yeah, like repair
Yeah, he's
guy.
like Jamaican.
He's Jamaican.
Yeah, he's doing a
like,
Jamaican
even in the
accent.
car, he's like, I'm gonna give him the old Jamaican one.
You know, that classic.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
classic
Have you
bit
guys-
I do. He like sticks a gun in the back of his pants.
He does.
Because that's safe, and he's like, gonna give him the old Jamaican.
He drives up
one.
in a second Woody wagon, and then I just leaves. Well, I don't know if his job was to check on.
It was because other scat
Kelly.
agents were going into the house and not coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
So they were like one by because the smart thing to do in that situation is then to continue to send people in one by
Exactly.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and see what happens. See if they come back. So yeah, the entire scat team, well, what's left of the entire scat team goes into the house and has this big confrontation with the entire family,
It's a
who then do
showdown.
more like crazy vampire stuff. They explain everything. Like it's just a dump of what's going on where the
Exposition
mom,
dump.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exposition
Phrase.
dump. And the mom and dad are just like, yeah, well, we have to take care of the augurs. Oh, it's charity, and we're vampires, and it doesn't matter. And they throw a couple of the scat team out the window.
Yeah,
and then,
that's
That's
pretty
a
good.
great scene where the one dude just kind of gets chucked out a window.
yeah,
Then you have to capture them.
and then
Yeah.
one by one, scat team falls, and then you have to capture the family,
Yeah.
and then you save Kelly.
Yeah.
the
Secret Agent Plato lives ever.
The
forever
main
after.
thing is just
Happily
saving
ever
all
after.
the girls and Kelly. But basically, the entire game has this just wonderful plot going on in the background, and you only ever get to see like little snippets.
Yeah, probably like I would say 10% on your first like reel.
Except certain parts you see a million times because you
Yes.
keep dying.
And others you
or,
don't see at all,
Others
yeah.
you don't see at all. You get to watch that one dude laugh every single time, but
That's all you need.
but you can't watch the girl sing in Night Trap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Night trap.
there's a lot during the dance number is you like there's so much else that you have to be juggling in the middle.
But
of
it's
that.
the best. It's the best scene, and you can't even watch it.
I kind of enjoyed that aspect of it where it was just like you kind of did like you wanted to pay attention to what
Yeah.
you were supposed to be doing, and then every so often you jumped and you got to sit there and enjoy it. But of course, then the red light would go off and be like, God damn
Oh,
it,
yeah.
I missed
yeah,
it.
the little blinking
The
like
blinking light.
Oh no.
It was genuinely entertaining watching that. It's very campy and kind of in a kind of charming way.
Luckily, the whole thing is on YouTube. You could just watch the
which
the
is an
story cutscenes.
which the edit is actually the put together by the publisher of the re-release. So Matt, the person who technically kicked all of this off, which okay, just to give our audience some background on this for a minute. Every Christmas, for a long while now, I've had this running tradition of getting him a notoriously terrible game that he, for whatever reason, still feels compelled to finish.
Yeah.
And I love that you do.
Yeah, for whatever reason. You know the
because
reason,
I take
dude.
advantage of
Yeah,
that.
it's a gift,
Yeah.
and he has to play it.
Yeah.
And you're also exploiting his need to finish every video game.
We got to contribute to that blog.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if anything, Randall's doing him a favor.
Got to plug your
Is
shit.
Duke Nukem Forever never did
Great-
anybody
great
any
game.
favors.
Great game.
Okay.
Well, first, a previous topic.
Yeah.
Also,
Also, check out our episode of Duke Nukem Forever.
Plug,
well,
plug, plug.
first,
Plug.
it was Superman 64. I
Yes, it
think.
was. That
Yeah.
was the very first.
A classic in that realm.
Yep.
Mario was missing, which
Yes.
you completed for that. Yeah.
You know what? Honestly,
If
that
I'm
Where
not
was
was he?
mistaken.
all over the place. Oh no, he was in Antarctica, wasn't he? That was. The
is
Oh,
that-
spoilers.
Is that where Mario actually ended up being?
Yeah, because Bowser's base is in Antarctica. And
Of
that's where
course.
you got to
That's-
rescue him from there.
That's
I
where
think,
that's
yeah.
what I associate with lava.
Yeah, that's what I associate
You know, when
with
I
Mario.
think lava dinosaur, I think Alaska.
There's lava under the snow, dude.
Technically, there's lava
There's
under
lava under everything.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Whoa.
Wait, is there
No,
lava
it's
under this
no,
couch
it's
right
magma
now?
when it's in the earth, ain't it?
Liquid hot magma.
Look at this geologist over
I
here.
know. So just a bunch of garbage, but anyway, though, flash forward to Christmas 2020,
Yep.
and you hatch a plan to finally get me back after all these years.
Yep.
So upon knowing of Night Trap's infamous reputation,
Which, by the way,
gives me a physical copy as revenge.
Yeah.
I should say he sent me like a list of things he was considering getting you, and I was like, I don't think Randy wants a physical copy of Night Trap, and then Matt was like explained the revenge, and I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Well, here's
Yeah.
the thing. That would have been a great strategy if I didn't end up enjoying it so much.
It really-
sucks to suck,
Yeah,
man.
so
I
it
agree.
totally
Game's great.
backfired.
It literally, that plan 100% backfired. Not only did you guys wind up enjoying it, you're like, you got to play this
Yeah.
game, and I love the game. I think it's so charming.
No,
it's
it
great.
worked out better because it led us all to right now sitting down and
It feels incredible because
recording
it's
this
just
episode.
like I'm so surprised
Having
that
this-
with this physical release, no one has rediscovered this game in this like modern
yeah,
format.
it's making its rounds a little bit, but not in the way that you would.
Well, I
maybe
thought they were
think.
doing a second release.
It's a different variant of the cover,
Yeah.
but yeah, they did.
Well, also the first one did well. Or...
Limited Run I was the distributor. They sold out of that allotment, and then I think they wanted to do separate batches. But thank you again, man. And
Great game.
one day I'm gonna find you big rakes.
Yeah, thanks a lot, and way to fuck it up, dude.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
You're also very much
You're bad at giving bad gifts.
you're also very much known for being quite the retro game guy.
Yep.
So do you happen to remember where you might have first heard of Night Trap? I know none of us
Night
probably even growing up had access
He
to like
said it
the Sega CD attachment. I don't know if
I'm not gonna lie, it was probably one of those late nights where we're watching like trailer compilations or
Yeah,
like whatever,
that
like
came up.
notorious. Actually, it might have been.
I
I wonder if
mean,
I
I
wonder if
don't
it was Cinematech if they had that.
ugh.
That would be, but it's like it was one of those
That'd be
things
great.
where
It's very possible.
it was around the time you told me about Phantasmagoria. I think it was.
Yeah, and like Harvester,
Harvester
and some of those,
and those FMV,
yeah.
and you're like, and then you showed me this other trailer, and it's like it just stuck in my head, and also the, and it's the fact that it wound up in a Senate hearing.
yes,
And so it's like,
that's the
yeah.
realizing
So
that.
when I picked it up, I was just like, you think of all those games, and it's like, this game must be absolute shit. Like, it's shot. And it's just like, it's got to be awful to play, and I'm going to make him play it. and it's like the reputation. It turned out to be a lot of fun, in my opinion.
Did you have a seat? No, you had a Saturn.
I have a Sega Saturn.
Okay,
yes.
which I not to keep jumping ahead, but it did get a release on the Saturn, I think later, but it might have been
Possibly
edited.
Yeah.
I know I have it in here.
It's very hard to think of how that game could be edited even more. It's like sanitized.
Yes.
It's like, what are you gonna make the vampires like? Just remove the vampires? But they were weak vampires.
Yeah.
Everyone's just a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole screen is just blurred.
That's kind of what it looked like in the original version. It was
true.
so bad.
Just a black screen, and you just go off of the green and red dot. That's all you do.
Austin, along with your opinion, would you like to maybe explain the actual moment-to-moment gameplay a little?
Sure.
Assuming that there are still many folks out there who probably are unfamiliar with what you really do behind the controller in this thing.
So I've heard of Night Trap, obviously, before. It got brought up in Hot Button. I heard of it long before that. I did not know anything about the way this game played at all. And then when you were like, it's great, we got to play it, I kind of kept it that way. So, as Chelsea explained in her story synopsis, there are 8 cameras. The driveway, a bedroom, the living room, the dining room.
The foyer, it's like
a
the entrance.
foyer and a couple hallways.
Yeah. There's an
Right?
upstairs hallway and downstairs hallway, right?
Yeah, it's upstairs upstairs bedroom, upstairs bathroom,
Right.
upstairs hallway, downstairs foyer, downstairs kitchen, downstairs like a
Living room.
den,
Yeah,
a living
yeah.
room, and a driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's it.
that's all.
Okay.
8.
You have in the bottom right, which in the original, it did not animate. It just said living room, dining room.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's-
God,
yeah.
impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible. But luckily in the re-release, you have 8 camera views in the bottom of each of those. It's all moving along in real time, and you have to switch between the cameras, and there are specific parts of each of the rooms that are rigged up with traps. Panels in the floor that fall out and people fall into them. There are pieces of the wall that push people.
Yeah.
All
it's a
great
good one.
traps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bed spring.
The bed
classic.
spring.
The bed's my favorite.
I think my
honestly.
favorite is
staircase
probably the
ramp?
staircase
Yeah.
one, the staircase ramp. But yeah, like bookcases that rotate and knock people into the wall,
Yeah.
and you don't know what's behind the wall, but it's
a
just
scale too. The bathroom scale, the whole corner
Oh,
of the wall.
right. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Which is
that's
what I want to happen every
Yeah.
time I step on a bathroom scale.
Yeah.
I'm like, just take me away.
what is someone getting? Oh, corner trap.
corner trap.
Someone press it, please.
So you can't activate these traps at all just like of your own free will. You're basically watching the video, and as the augurs or people, vampire people, are walking by, there is a little light in the corner of your screen that goes from flashing yellow to green and then
No, red, yellow, green.
red, yellow, green. Well, yeah,
Red is when nothing's near it. Yellow's like
red is
Right.
nothing's near it. Then it flashes yellow. Then green is your
Your warning.
opportunity, and then it flashes red when you've missed a trap.
well, there's a second light that flashes.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
your
there's
little
like a-
car VCR.
There's like a little dot
looking.
light in the corner that's green most of the time, and then if you miss one, it will flash
flicker,
red.
yeah.
It'll
Yeah, it
just go
flashes
like
red.
boop boop. So like if you're
Yeah.
on a different camera and one walked by and you didn't get the trap,
But
boop boop.
but that was the thing that Chelsea was saying is if you're watching any of the actual story, any of the actual cutscenes, you'll just see
the
a
good
little
part of the game.
yeah, you'll just see a little blinking red light in the corner being like, "Hey, you missed a trap. Hey, you missed a trap."
Yeah.
And there's also, I think this is just in the re-release, not in the original, but there's also a counter of how many augurs are in the house and how many you've captured.
Yeah.
And yeah, you move between cameras and try to catch. You have to look at the cameras and try to catch when an augur is in a room, and then you stay on that room. You wait for them to walk near the trap. You press like square on the PlayStation controller or something.
Yeah, we played the PS4 version.
PS4 version. You press square. A little cutscene plays, and then getting knocked, flipped onto a bed and knocked into a wall, or
Yeah,
falling through
push
a
onto
trap
a
door.
bed
But-
because
Yeah.
a wardrobe pushed
You-
them, and
you-
then the bed flips backwards.
You can only do it if it's the right color code.
Yeah,
Right, that was the
color
other thing.
code.
So there is a
6 colors?
there is a
5?
color. It's God, green.
It is.
It's green, blue, red, yellow,
Yellow.
orange, purple.
Yeah.
Six.
I think it's all the primary and secondary colors.
Okay.
Yeah. And every once in a while, in addition to finding the augurs and finding the traps, you do have to watch cutscenes because, like, the parents will come home or go to
Yeah.
leave, and they'll be like, "Hey, kids, I noticed an auger went missing. You have to change the trap to blue.
I was gonna do the voiceover
Yeah,
for you.
the
Here,
80
try that again.
like the
I'll do the
ADR, like-
ADR.
Hey kids, we're gonna leave. I noticed the augers were getting captured. Why don't you change the trap?
Blue.
Yeah.
I'd really
Very
feel
bad.
comfortable if we changed the code to
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd really
I'd feel more comfortable if it was purple.
Oh, yeah, the fidelity of
Yeah,
it. It's
Fidelity.
like-
And not only that, but it's like it's always when they're not facing the camera so that they
Yes.
can dub so that they can dub over that line.
Yeah.
Yes, they always face away from the camera so that they can dub it in. And it's dubbed in dynamically. It's
fantastic.
not always the same color.
yeah,
That's
they
a good
will
Yeah.
point
change it
out.
up on
Yeah.
you.
So you do always have
do.
to watch.
So-
If you miss it,
scene.
you're
So this
fucked.
comes down
like-
to the main
Yeah.
gameplay loop of the game, which is trial and error. You basically get to the point where you memorize where all the augers are going to be, and you memorize the. Okay, so the last thing I'll say, I
Okay.
forgot this. There is a timer in the bottom of the game that starts at 0 and counts up to the end of the game.
Yeah.
So basically, you go, okay, well, at 4 minutes and 12 seconds, there's going to be an auger in this room. And then at 5 minutes and 3 seconds, you got to go to the foyer because that's when the color switch happens. But there's going to be an auger at 5 minutes and 12 seconds, and you have to catch him with the last color because they haven't gotten to the basement to actually switch the color yet. And then so you have to capture that auger, and then afterwards, you have to switch the color.
When Randall and I
Which led us
played,
having our
yeah.
crazy logbook.
Well,
of-
that was so. When Randall and I played the first time, when I kept failing, because once you get to when you have to save the girls, if any of those girls die, you fail.
It's an instant game
Right.
over.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an instant game
Same
over.
with some of the scat members.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's like if a certain amount of augers go uncaptured and stuff like
There's a
few-
percentage
yeah.
that they'll let you
But
miss a you know.
Regardless, I was like, okay, Randall, get your phone out. I was like, at exactly this time they change the color.
Yeah.
At exactly this time I gotta go do this. Exactly this time I gotta go do that.
So
And I just had this like I had him have this log because I was like
It's
edge
still
of my
saved-
seat, like staring eyes, like I was
Still
pretty
in my
much
notes on my phone.
Yeah.
Clockwork Orange, eyes open, just like
And there's-
staring.
should be said, I won't get into it, but there is some extra content that we wanted to see that is
Yeah.
locked behind a perfect run.
The
So,
perfect run.
I brought up a Steam guide that tells you time codes and color switches and where the
Yes.
augers are going to be in what room. And Matt sat there and switched camera to camera right when I told him to. And there are some switches in that game where you have to like
There are like
you have to like
second,
hit a button,
yeah.
switch to another room, hit a button, switch to another room, hit a
It
button.
is,
Yeah,
And, like
yeah.
it's
Close.
like
Yeah.
real
But he
fast.
did it.
And then and then
But
there'll
we
be
did
other,
it.
yeah, then there'll be other times where nothing will happen for like 3 minutes.
Yeah,
For
I'll be like,
3
okay,
minutes.
well,
yeah.
if you gotta go take a shit, go do it now. 'Cause
Yeah.
we got 5 minutes.
But Matt, you got another 100% run of the game.
I'm genuinely proud of that because
Yeah.
it's like at this point it's like yes, you guys know that I love completing my games as much as possible, and the fact that I was able to do it for Night Trap of all godforsaken games, it's like
I should also point out
You should put that in like
Probably
a
a
Tinder
small group of
profile.
people.
with the guide of where every auger is going to be,
Yeah.
it still took us 3 tries to
That's
perfect
true.
this
Yeah.
game.
It
Yeah.
did, yeah.
With the list of them. Also, by the way, brought up the list. 25 minutes and 12 seconds is the
Hey,
final
see,
time
I
of
was-
the
I was-
game.
You were close.
Yeah.
I
Does-
think
is
you were
your
thinking
count-
more of the full.
That's like 40 minutes.
That is,
If you
yeah.
watch all the cutscenes, it's actually like 40 minutes because
Yeah,
some of
the
them
movie
play
cut.
over each other, so
Yes.
you can't
Right.
even see them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But was that 3 tries counting when Randall was reading me the list and I tried and he was so bad at it?
I wasn't
that was
bad
the,
at it.
That was the fourth try.
Oh,
I
okay.
only had things bullet pointed that you like.
No, you had that guide.
Alright, well, maybe.
me,
I think-
me and Matt, first try, Matt accidentally missed one, like by like a pixel, like a second. He missed one of the traps. So then we restarted. Second try was when we got fucked up with the color switch because the guide said,
Yeah.
don't switch the color yet. Use this trap, then switch the color.
Yeah.
But
And
And it
reality,
was incorrect, yeah.
you did need to switch
Yeah,
the color.
if you,
And then
if
the
you
third
made
try
the,
was
the
when we
Steam
got it.
guide
Yep.
for Night Trap,
To
and
everyone
you are
listening.
listening to this, you need to adjust it. It's wrong.
Oh, he knows.
he knows.
This person, I should say, knows because there is a comment in here that says, living room code change 859, fuck off.
Yeah.
Oh, that was me. Yeah.
Yeah, they saw your comment. All right, so now that we've painted a nice picture for everybody, I'm going to take us back back to the year of 1985.
There's no such year.
Yeah,
too
that
long
was the
ago.
year after Wonder Woman
Yeah.
yeah. saved the world from Pedro Pascal.
This is 7 years
Spoilers.
before Night Trap would
Oh, yeah,
see
spoilers.
see its day. A video game console was prepping for launch, and no, I'm not talking about the NES. Why would you think that? This story, my
The
friends, begins with the Control Vision.
This is great.
One in every household.
It's called WandaVision.
A dope-looking and unfortunately never-released device helmed by toy giant Hasbro and supported by a crack team of industry vets, including Atari's Nolan Bushnell and fucking Apple's Steve Wozniak.
Should we talk about the fact that the controller, the controller you use to control
Is
the traps
still
and
the
cameras
original? Yeah.
looks like the controller that
Which
was
is
for that
which
console.
is funny because we saw that and we're like and didn't
yeah,
think
it just
anything
looks
of
like
it.
some crazy wacky vampire
But then when
thing.
we Googled the
console.
then we're like, oh, that's what they
Yeah.
meant it.
Mm-hmm.
This crazy thing that we all thought was like just some weird
Made
prop
for it,
was
yeah.
actually what it was supposed to look. That was supposed to be in someone's home.
Yeah, that's
in every
hilarious.
home actually across America.
Mm-hmm.
So head of development was let's see, was a cool fella named Tom Zito, our later founder of Digital Pictures, a studio devoted exclusively to full motion video games. But before we get there, the system itself, codenamed Nemo, as in never ever mention outside.
Yep.
Well, you messed up because you just brought it up.
We're inside.
I'm fairly sure
That's
all
true.
like Bushnell and all them were on lots of cocaine back in the 80s.
It was
Like,
the 80s.
Oh, for
Everyone
sure.
was on
Hot tub
cocaine.
parties.
yeah,
If
dude.
you've ever been to a Chuck E. Cheese, nobody develops
yeah.
that sober.
No, yeah. Dude, he was doing lines off of Chuck E. Cheese's ass. They're just the animatronic robot.
So they had their first working prototype built. This was done by modifying a second-gen ColecoVision to essentially combine, quote, interactive images with a video stream transmitted through cable. It used VHSs as game cartridges, which is just awesome.
You might want to explain what a VHS is.
while the tapes themselves
Stands for Video Home System. I think that's true. I don't know.
contain the data alongside a grid of multiple tracks for the picture and audio to be toggled. It's like imagine a SNES cartridge, but it's horizontally a VHS tape that you're just slamming in the. It's just great. It was wonky but ambitious, with Hasbro even investing $7 million into the project in exchange for the rights to the technology. But yeah, along with an interactive music video for the song "You Might Think" by the Cars. Great track. And a lesser-known rail shooter called Sewer Shark that was filmed in '89 for $3 million, shelved, and eventually released in 1992 alongside Night Trap. There was what was the most important to our topic today, a cute little now available tech demo titled "Scene of the Crime." Something we all got to play, in part to that wonderful 100% we totally achieved fair and square. Thank you, Matt.
Don't mention
Thank
it.
you, Matt, and nobody else helped.
Yeah, and no one
No
else.
one helped.
This only being included in the 25th anniversary edition, by the way, as we stated. Now, Austin, since you were the one actually holding the DualSense there, why don't you tell everyone just what this proof of concept was?
Okay, so simpler story, simpler gameplay. Here's what Scene of the Crime, that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Scene of the Crime is. So you are at a fancy dinner party. It's basically Knives Out. If you've seen Knives Out, if you haven't seen Knives
Production
Out,
quality, exactly the
exactly
same.
like Knives. Daniel Craig is in it. No, if you haven't seen Knives Out, by all means,
Incredible film.
go see Knives Out. Watch it on streaming or whatever.
If you haven't seen Knives Out, by all means, go play Scene of the
Please, Scene of the Crime.
Yeah.
and don't watch the movie.
Yeah. But basically, fancy dinner party. Old guy has all of his diamonds and money in a safe in his office or his study, as it's known, I think, in the game. And there's a bunch of rich people hanging out in the house, along with waiters and butlers and things like that.
And
maids.
and leeching family members.
Yes.
Yeah.
Literally
Just like Knives Out.
leeching
Yeah.
family members,
Leeching
yeah.
family members.
Yeah.
And so basically the guy at
I think
the
there's a mistress.
you start in the study and the guy goes, look, all of these people are trying to rob me blind. I set up cameras. I need you to watch out for them and make sure they don't steal my money. And then he puts it in a safe and he locks it so you know where the safe is. And then, just like Night Trap, you go from room to room, switching between cameras and watching a story play out. And the story is, as the old man described, everybody is trying to steal
Literally.
from him.
Literally
Yeah.
Everybody. The
Everyone
fucking,
in this dude's
the
family.
chefs, the fucking waitresses, the butlers, the maids,
Yeah,
all
he
of
needs
his
to
family
hire
members.
some.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
like-
his granddaughter, his children, his wife.
Yes, yeah.
His wife is one of them.
Not only
Yeah.
He
that,
already has all of his
This guy made a
money.
lot of enemies. Through the
and not only that, but it's just like there's no other plot. Like, what are they like? The dialogue when they're in other rooms with each other is they just discuss robbing this guy.
Yeah.
That's the entire plot.
It's like the I think it's a granddaughter. It might be a daughter or a granddaughter.
Yeah.
I think it's it might be the daughter. The daughter is having an affair with one of the kitchen staff, and they're trying to steal the money so they could run away together. That's like one of the side plots going on in this
Yeah.
game.
I love it.
And then there's like a lady taking a shower, and somebody comes in,
I
and
thought
she
you were gonna say
goes,
shit.
she goes, "Oh no!" And then that distracts you. But basically, it's Night Trap without the traps. You switch between the cameras. You
Yeah.
watch all of this play out. And it turns out that listening to the conversations does absolutely nothing because everybody has a plan to rob this guy. And then eventually, I think the lights go out, and then
Something like that.
something
yeah.
like that, and then you switch to the study,
And the
then
money's gone.
like 4 or 5 different people all run in to steal it at the same time.
yeah.
And you basically have to like very eagle eye look at the screen and see who actually goes up to the safe because 3 people do it. It activates an alarm. It
Yeah.
scares some of them off. And then the rest of the story plays out. You watch the people, and then the old guy comes in the room and
Who
he,
did it?
With a gun.
He pulls out a
He
gun.
does,
Pulls
yeah.
out a
Pulls out a
revolver and
gun.
points it at people.
Points it at his
execute
family.
Which one of
everyone
you
in this
did it?
house.
And then it basically just goes, "Who done it?" And then it gives you, and then it gives you. They literally all look at the camera, and then it's like a shot of all of them, and then you can highlight one, and hit this person did it, and if you get it right, he
calls the cops.
calls the cops on
Yeah.
them. But if you get it wrong, he like
Turns the revolver on himself.
turn it.
No,
I'm kidding.
no,
No, but-
the wife like berates you.
Oh,
and then-
yeah.
She's
and
like,
then
you
he leaves.
spent all this money on the
Did
security system. and
did we get
didn't
it?
help.
Did we get it the first try or second try?
Yeah, I got it first.
Okay,
try.
and then we've intentionally fucked it up
But-
to see.
Yeah.
What
The problem was we didn't know we got it the first try because
It
audio.
cut out, yeah.
because
Oh,
it's because it's an unfinished prototype. Our audio cut out at the last
yeah.
cutscene, and then we had to go on YouTube to look
It
up
was,
what actually
yeah,
happened. But
Yeah.
I did get it right.
You didn't.
I think
Yeah.
it was like
Who was
I
it?
think
I
it was
don't-
the
It's
daughter.
the wife.
Is it the
Is it
wife?
the wife
or the
daughter?
No, it was the
Women.
wife.
Then why the
yeah.
fuck would she berate you? If she,
Yeah, yeah.
I think
and
she'd be
it-
thrilled if you
Also-
pointed the finger at someone else.
Funny side note: you can blame him for stealing
Yes,
his own
that's
money.
right.
Yeah, we did try.
We
did
did
do
try
that.
that. That was the wrong answer.
Yeah, he does not like it. And then once again, his wife berates you.
Yeah.
How you hired a security team and they're just like, I don't know,
Oh,
looks like you
you.
did it.
Yeah, and man, that guy, the old guy, he's almost like giddy at the thought of like
Yes.
catching these awful
Oh,
family
he's so
members. He's like,
happy
he's
about
like,
it.
they're trying to steal my jewels, but not this time. You're gonna catch
We should
them.
also point out that like you can't, unlike Night Trap, you can't stay in a room that no one's in. So you can't just sit in the study and be
That's
like,
true,
which one
yeah.
of you jabronis
Oh,
took
really?
it?
If
Okay.
people
Yeah.
if people leave a room, it kicks you out to the next room,
Yeah.
and you can only highlight rooms that stuff is actually happening.
It's actually
in.
sort of helpful in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it stops you from just sitting in the
Yeah,
study.
yeah.
You have
Right,
to
because
watch
that wouldn't make any sense.
wonderful
that's
story.
if you were in charge of those cameras, it would probably make the most sense. Just like, well, I'll just watch the
Yeah,
safe.
I'll
Watch
just
the
watch
study.
the safe. Like, you
Yeah.
want me to know who touches the safe? I'll just watch the. Why get all of the cameras? Why not just the one? That makes too much
exactly.
sense, Randall. You need one that shows just the one back patio that someone steps
Goes
on
up a
for
stair
30
or something. Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah.
But I got it right first
You
try,
did. Yeah.
and the Hasbro executive in the video we later watched,
Don't worry, I'll get to that.
he got it. I'm just gonna say he got it wrong. So
That guy
I'm-
sucks.
You're smarter than the.
I'm smarter than the Hasbro executives that were loaded with coke in the 80s.
I've always thought that about you.
Yeah.
That's how you introduced yourself to me years ago
Yeah.
before you ever played that game. Was
Yeah.
I'm smarter than a Hasbro.
I knew it
exec.
all along. I was just
Yeah.
this game confirmed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine being one of those devs? Like they made this the game's only like 2 minutes long. It's very much. A
I think it's like
prototype.
5-6 minutes.
Like they did not intend this to get out. Can you imagine telling one of those devs in that room just being like, "Yeah, a group of friends in 2021 is going to play this game and then talk podcast about it." It's just like, God, what a time to be alive.
And then talk about how dumb you were for getting
and then,
it wrong.
and then make fun of you and call you drug abusers. Yeah.
I stand by it.
So who exactly was behind that there scene of the crime?
We spoiled that.
Allow me to introduce two more characters here into our story. There was Rob Fulop, the fine programmer behind EGM's 1982's Game of the Year, Demon Attack, as well as 2,600 home ports of arcade hits such as Space Invaders, Missile Command, and Night Driver.
Never heard of him.
No relation to Night Trap. But he basically left Atari following the game crash of '83 to work with Bushnell at his new company, Axlon, the group behind the production of the ColecoVision. Sorry, Hasbro was the manufacturer. Other than Rob, though, there was the charming James Riley. That dude rules. Great sense of humor about the whole thing, and he also did a fantastic job of properly preserving all of the pieces that made the 95 and 2017 documentaries that we watched possible.
He has the whole script still and stuff. It's great.
So he was the director, actually, for the filming of both Scene of the Crime and Night Trap, who also was in charge of how all of the shot scenes on set would be arranged in relation to the gameplay. Also, apparently, they were neighbors. Riley was literally hired over the phone one day by Fulop after he heard about the ColecoVision prototype that Tom Zito was working on. But this really was quite the squad, a squad that also wanted to impress the bigwigs at the biggest fucking toy conglomerate ever. And they honestly kind of did. Silver Shark and the interactive Cars music video were fine, but it definitely was the demo of Scene of the Crime that got them the capital they needed to make a full-fledged venture into the competitive gaming space.
Esports?
No, not that game.
When you say the Cars music video, do you mean the Disney Cars?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, Lightning McQueen had a string of hits in the 80s before
I think I'm crazy. So the ability for the device to run 4 simultaneous video tracks was something the Nintendo Entertainment System couldn't do.
Yeah, Nintendo always behind.
Dropping the ball. And their idea of using real actors to portray a, Tamara-inspired mystery with different endings was intriguing. Especially through the player's security-like role of only being able to view CCTV footage, but at their own freedom. Now, we all recently watched, as I brought up, some captured video of that meeting, and the response was pretty good, right?
Except that dumbass idiot got it wrong.
An entire boardroom of 22 Hasbro executives and their CEO, Stefan Hassenfield, at their headquarters in Rhode Island, all clapping and laughing, seeing this short little game. Funding was then granted for it, along with the console, and our crew was on their way. One thing they wanted to go deeper with, though, was the element of engagement a user could have while seeing the picture. They liked the concept of centering everything around surveillance cameras, but they were still searching to do more with that. That was when Zito came up with the plan to scrap their mystery dinner party theme and instead go for full horror and basing it off of A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
However, negotiations with the film studio sadly, fell through, and they were back to a wholly original foundation.
Yeah,
what would that have been, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
You think there's ESRB
We
Senate
wouldn't even have an ESRB if it was
it was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, that would have just skated through cleanly.
That is just
no problem.
That is just pure irony that they're like, no, Night Trap is too bad. It's just like, imagine how bad it could have been. Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Because they didn't even run through that in the docs that we saw. So this caused Zito to hire Terry McDonnell to pen the script. An odd choice, as at the time he was primarily known for being an editor of Newsweek and Rolling Stone magazine.
Wow.
Although he did have credits under his belt for writing a few episodes of Miami Vice and publishing dark humor novel California Bloodstock.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a great name.
It is a cool name.
Yeah.
That's my metal band name.
So now it was time for the toughest part. Gathering the writers, designers, programmers, and with the directors, discussing just how in the fuck they were going to be able to continue the narrative with the available technology to make an interactive video game movie. Remember, it's still only 1986, 1987 at this point. Its real competition still looked like The Legend of Zelda 1.
Yeah.
And this shit was real, man.
Do you bring up who the cinematographer is?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
that's what I was
Don't
waiting
worry.
for. Too.
I don't want to cut you off there, but that's an important piece of information
Yes.
for this.
Yes, it is.
Also, I was not at all implying there that Night Trap was better than Legend of Zelda. I swear to God.
I mean, I have a Night Trap tattoo. I don't have a Zelda tattoo.
That's
Night Trap.
Night Trap. Then Legend of Zelda 1? Yeah, probably.
They're both just as obtuse. And
Yep.
Anyway, with the full-blown slasher thing out, they thought, hey, let's go back to that rich, fancy, big house vibe again, except now taken to a higher level. One with ninjas.
Yeah.
Ninjas.
That's right. The through line from Scene of the Crime, where a billionaire was to leave a whole bunch of cash in an easily hackable safe for some reason, was still there.
Couldn't afford a better one.
But now the goal is to protect the money, not just wait and see who steals it.
Yeah.
From ninjas.
That and your previous cast of Clue-type characters were now black-coated ninja burglars. The idea being that it would be cool to see them creeping around in the shadows. Though what fun would it be running a state-of-the-art security system without traps and distractions?
Yeah.
Yes.
My home security has traps in it, yeah.
Yes,
ninjas constantly falling for traps.
Yeah.
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 Notorious,
they're known for it.
notoriously not aware of their surroundings
I've
or
heard
agile
that
whatsoever.
about the Mixer streamer ninja.
Mixer's dead. Long live Facebook gaming?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
YouTube gaming.
Yeah.
So
Also, come to think of it, ninjas are just assassins. They're not even robbers. They're just.
that's a
it's
good
like-
point. Yeah, that doesn't.
Yeah, it's just like so. It's just like they must be really out of work if they're like just doing contract jobs.
Yeah, we
for
need to just steal diamonds from
Diamonds.
this
Those
rich
ninjas
guy.
gotta
this
get their
rich
bread,
guy.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the girls' slumber party side plot part even began here too, as the ninja attacks
They
happened
need that.
to be going on at the same night that the wealthy homeowner's daughter was having all her teenage friends over.
Do they sing Night Trap in this version, though?
No, it's a separate song by
About
Duran Duran
ninjas.
called "Scene of the
Ninja
Crime."
Trap.
Ninja Trap. Except after further deliberations, a spookier and more like fun Hollywood-style storyline with more characters and more threads, and of course, the stumbly vampires, as we all know and love today, was born. The thing was, though, they weren't always actually meant to be so silly-looking. No, this change came to be due to Hasbro's concern that the game could feature, quote, reproducible violence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was why the creatures then became known as the Augurs. They were slow, clumsy, and most important to the higher-ups, couldn't bite.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hasbro was like, we don't want to go to
no
court
teeth.
over this game. So we
Yeah.
need,
It
we
worked
need to
out
make,
real well.
Yeah, we need to make this really, really.
They never went to court. They just went to a Senate hearing. And as we all know, court is far worse than a Senate hearing. It is very easy to lie your way through a Senate hearing.
As we've seen. Yeah.
It's very easy.
Yeah.
So this led them to use that weird long arm claw drill weapon that kids probably wouldn't associate with objects around their house. And you know what? They got the okay. It was now time to shoot this masterpiece.
When I was a kid, you know those like grippy things that people.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I used to take those.
The something gopher.
I used to
fuck is
take
it
those
called?
and constantly clamp them on people's necks because I wanted to be just like an auger in Night Trap.
Yeah. Yeah. Things got really dark when she actually put the drill bit on it. It started-
Had to make it just like Night Trap.
yeah.
Yeah.
It did. It is interesting that it's like. it's so sterilized from
Yes.
what it once was,
Really
and yet
It
it's
has to be sterilized. It gets blood.
that was good. And it's like
that's a bad joke.
they really made these vampires like as like harmless as possible.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and the funny thing is, it's just like of all games wound up in a Senate here.
Mortal Kombat. I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if you were gonna.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I was gonna. I know.
Classic hot button quote here. Was we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
So first, film stock was bought, 35 millimeter, shot on a Panavision camera.
Just like Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, exactly.
Except less feet.
Quentin Tarantino
Yes.
did do 70 millimeter for some of his stuff, but
Yeah.
you got to get that audio track.
Yes.
Then our house in Culver City, South Cali, was rented, along with sets being constructed, of course. There were 6 full interiors they had to build. Traps didn't seem to come standard with the place.
What? What kind of wonky house are they renting?
Now, in what might be probably all of our favorite fact of this whole episode, thank you, Austin, for looking this up during our viewing, in which we all proceeded to almost die laughing. While assembling the staff for the shoot, a guy named Don Burgess was brought
Burgess.
on Burgess, sorry, was brought on board to be the director of photography. A couple years later, in '94, the man would go on to win an Academy Award for the same role with his contribution to the film Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump.
Honestly, Night Trap's better.
And I think after that, he even did a Contact and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
He did Contact,
Yeah.
Sam Raimi Spider-Man. He did Castaway.
Castaway.
He did Terminator 3, 13 going on 30, and then Enchanted, Book of Eli, Source Code.
It's a lot of movies
The
all
Muppets.
over the place.
So
Yeah.
what you're saying is he peaked at Night Trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, he peaked at Night Trap and then peaked again at Book of Eli.
Book of Eli.
I think I think they brought him on because I think his previous role was like he had done a couple episodes of Tales from the Crypt, right?
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the one.
Which
Yeah.
honestly
I'm
has
glad
that
you brought that up.
it has that same low budget campy vibe.
Whoa,
so
whoa.
it's like-
Big
Oh,
defender
yeah.
of Tales of the Crypt.
Also-
I actually am.
I know. No, but aesthetically and totally, that makes like
Yeah, no.
complete
Also-
It
sense.
makes sense how I would
Yeah.
like this game.
Book of Eli, written by former Hot Button
Oh, right.
character Gary Whitta.
Gary Whitta.
Also the writer of
Rogue One.
Rogue One and Prey, the original Prey.
Yes.
You got a cast of characters now.
Oh, we
I-
have
I-
a long
Yeah.
cast of characters.
That's true.
So this all being even more funny when director James Riley had to instruct him to continuously brighten up the scenes, as the darker look would likely cause the footage in game to appear way too pixelated.
Yeah.
And these weren't the only hurdles the team had to tackle. Other members of the crew had to stick pretty vigorously to their almost Excel-like script and flowchart.
Yeah.
This due to the multi-linear gameplay that had to be programmed after in perfect unison to each sequence captured, down to the precise second, with Riley actually having to use a stopwatch on set to sync it all so the continuity, because like the continuity was vital.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like, you need to walk into this doorway because the sets weren't actually connected.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it'd be like, you're walking into this room at exactly this time and it needs to actually flow.
Yeah, it
perfectly.
all had to be
Also-
coherent.
Dark pictures becoming too pixelated, still a problem. As evidenced by that infamous Game of Thrones episode that was way too dark, Matt. You remember that one?
Oh, yeah, you were talking
the
about
the
this.
Night King episode.
Yeah.
And also the Snyder Cut on HBO Max.
I think you just watched that, didn't you?
Yeah,
I did too.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
God.
very dark, and turns out when HBO Max's bitrate drops a little bit,
Unfortunately, can't get into our feelings on that. Or we'll
doesn't
be here all
exactly
night.
look like a Sega CD, but
Would
it's
you
close.
say you'd be here for about 4 hours?
Yeah, 4 hours, 2 minutes.
If they release the Snyder Cut on Sega CD, would you watch it with me?
Yeah,
Release
absolutely.
the Snyder
There's
Cut
that
on
the-
Sega
the-
CD.
There's a guy that
It comes in a suitcase of CDs.
find that YouTube video. The guy that put Tenet on a Game Boy Advance cartridge to watch in the video. It's like 112p or something.
Yeah. Hashtag release the Sega Cut.
Also, fun fact here, by the way, these documents alone apparently took so much space that he had to Riley he had to purchase, get this, a 16 megabyte external hard drive for
Oh my
$160 from his own wallet just to fit every note and timestamp mark. We've come a long way.
Wow.
16 megabyte hard drive?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've never seen one that big.
Yeah. That must have taken up a whole room.
How many gigs is this podcast episode going to be?
I don't know, like 5 or 6.
Yeah. No, more than that, we're going to forget to press stop recording at the
Well,
end. so
after
just get
this,
it.
we're gonna talk about the Snyder cut.
Yeah. It's double episode.
But yeah, much of this weight lay heavily on the actors and actresses. Their placement, performances, and dialogue often changing right on the fly. And what was great, though, is that, like, morale throughout all of this still stayed really high, like, through each shoot.
That looked like the most fun film set
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah, I was gonna say that documentary. It made it look like everyone was just having just the
one
time
the
of
time
their
of their
life.
lives.
It really
Yeah.
did seem like, people were-
It's so the documentary is
Yeah.
so
And
good.
them knowing when to enter and leave rooms, like you said, or, like, ad-libbing here and there, like, they were into it. Like,
oh, yeah. No, it seems like they were having fun with it.
So hey, let's get into them now as well. Most prominently, of course, was the aforementioned Different Strokes' Donna Plato.
Was it Donna or
Kelly?
was it Dana? It was
Oh,
Donna.
I thought it was Donna. Might be Dana. It might be Dana.
I think it was
Dana,
It
I
is Dana
think.
Plato.
Yeah.
Hold
Sorry.
on.
As Kelly, which we said they were very thrilled to have.
Yeah.
Um,
And she was a charming actress.
Yeah,
she,
yeah.
She really played it well. I thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's Kelly with a Y or an I, depending on which version you're playing. Apparently.
the
I don't know.
Sega version had the Y copyrighted.
Yeah.
You gotta-
So yeah, she was as we said, the undercover agent attending the sleepover with the other girls. She was also in Exorcist 2.
Ooh,
Yeah,
the best
I had
one
to bring
out
that
of
up
the
for
three.
it, yeah. Out of the 4.
Oh crap!
Yeah. But she was definitely still the most famed of the cast anyway. Otherwise, looking further into it, there wasn't too much else that stuck out in terms of these individuals' prior works. The augurs themselves were stuntmen.
They were just stunt guys.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh.
Although there were still a couple notable exceptions. Josh Goddard, who played Danny, the little kid brother, did appear in a couple guest spots on a few sitcoms like Punky Brewster and Webster.
Oh, gracious!
Yeah.
Gracious.
John Rashad Kamal was the father. Victor Martin.
He's the best
is
actor.
the best.
Yeah.
He's just fantastic. Yeah, so hammy.
So, yeah.
But he previously had a small role in Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Susie Coate, the Martin daughter, wasn't in much.
Sarah, I believe.
Yeah, she's Sarah. She wasn't in much before Night Trap, although she did go on after to do like single episodes of CSI and House. Jeff Lightning Shooting Martin, that's the son. Yeah.
Oh, what a great moment
was-
that
No,
was.
Tony does that.
Oh, is it Tony? Sorry.
Yeah.
So appropriately and coincidentally, was from Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master.
Oh yeah, another just great movie. Best out of all like 80 of those movies.
Interestingly enough, he's more of a musician these days. Not much from Eddie the Neighbor. Let's see. A couple of our soldier guys did do some shit though. Blake Gibbons, the commander. He came from apparently being a big Elvis fan / lookalike, as his 80s filmography included. It includes a TV series called Elvis, and also played an Elvis impersonator on the show The Golden Girls, likely the same scene that prominently also hosted a young Quentin Tarantino.
Wow.
After all these, though, there was like Murder, She Wrote, Baywatch, Seinfeld, The O.C., Dexter, Modern Family, CSI Again, Supernatural,
And
whatever.
Dead Rising 3.
Whoa, who's he in Dead Rising
Whoa.
3?
I don't know. I think he was just like an extra. voice.
All tiny parts until then landing main cast for the later era of the never-ending General Hospital. Deke Anderson, who I believe played the first Army guy that died. I could be wrong. Which one Jason was. He did stuff on Cheers, Webster again, oddly enough, General Hospital. God damn it.
Well, there was only like 5 actors in the 80s.
Yeah. Post Night Trap, there was a Friday Night Lights show. He was also in Halo Legends, that terrible Green Lantern movie, Dallas, that I didn't know was
Friday
still
Night
on.
Lights. Great show.
But fuck all that, because I saved the best for last of these dudes. Our guy, our Arthur Bergenhart, who played Lieutenant You Gotta Be Jivin' Me Collins.
Oh,
You gotta
man.
be jiving me. That is an important part of the plot that I did not mention. Is when they have that big showdown and they're explaining everything. He just goes, "You've gotta be jiving me."
Also the same Jamaican.
boat
Have you seen my boat?
Yeah.
Have you seen my boat?
He really is just an absolute treat to watching that.
So he's actually like a huge voice actor, going all the way back to Scooby-Doo in the 70s. Then in the 80s, he was Destro on the G.I. Joe animated series, arguably making him maybe a bit more well-known than Dana Plato at this point. That and he was Devastator in Transformers. He did Vio and Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Real Ghostbusters, some Nickelodeon cartoons like Our Real Monsters, Wild Thornberrys, and As Told by Ginger. There was even a handful of other video games too: X-Wing vs. TIE Fighter, Warcraft 3, The Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay, God of War. Although I think that was just the PSP one there. Either way, the whole point of me getting into all of these people's careers is because they all have one major thing in common. They each are forever...
They're nobodies.
They're each forever included in what was essentially the first real video game cast list ever. Remember that Night Trap really laid, the tracks down for how big FMV gaming was going to get for a little while. Christopher Walken, Clive Owen, John Hurt, Christopher Lloyd, Malcolm McDowell, Dennis Hopper, Mark Hamill, Morgan Fairchild, and John Goodman, they would all go on to star in FMV projects of their own during the 90s boom of it. And I didn't even get into the Command & Conquer franchise. There's honestly just too much to name there.
And this was the first FMV, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit was unheard of in 1987.
And that's wild that it's just like...
And someone had to do it first.
I like my video game history, and it was just like, this game really was not on my radar
because
for
that's
the
not
longest
how
time.
it's it's discussed anymore. It's remembered for those hearings. It's not... People don't associate it with.
That's it. It got that notorious, and people forgot that it was like, this is the first.
Yeah.
This is a landmark game
Absolutely.
right here.
Along with other usual methods of having to film this sort of project, behind-the-scenes interviews revealed how those stunt folks inside the auger costumes made up... they were made up of tape and garbage bags.
They were just garbage bags.
So good.
Would have to prepare themselves for those tumbles and falls every time a door would drop under their feet or a bed would lift to throw them into a wall trap or whatever.
So yeah, they had to use stuntmen because they're getting thrown
messed up,
around.
yeah.
They're going through these traps, and they had to be able to brace themselves.
Exactly. And this gave them not only a narrative reason for their odd shuffling walk, but also a practical and safer reason. You said as well.
So they're constantly they're walking like they have a stick up their ass the entire time because they had to constantly be braced.
Did you ever notice? Because I watched it again after we learned that fact.
Yeah.
Little clips. None of the actors who aren't augurs ever fall through trapdoors or anything.
They
like
only
that.
get sealed.
They only go through the ones that turn. The
Oh.
only
No,
one is
it's
the
the mom. She gets thrown off the
She
bed.
gets thrown off the bed.
She does the bed trap.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I wonder if they had to pay her
She's
hazard pay.
Yeah, she's committed.
Even the ones where you can accidentally trap people, like when you can accidentally trap the girl, it just spits out smoke and then it ends.
Yeah.
I thought it drops her down it.
Does it?
I can't remember.
I think that's one where you fall through.
I don't think she does.
Oh.
You know,
I don't
speaking
know
of
though.
Speaking of which, I wanted to address this part before, but now I'm thinking about it again. The way these traps are set up, it heavily implies that if someone gets caught in these traps,
They're dead?
They're dead.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Let's keep in mind that it's there's a lot of stuff where people drop through floors. It's they're just gonna go to the basement.
Yeah.
Maybe slightly injured, but it very heavily implies that once you're in that trap, that's it.
There's
Every
spikes behind it or
every
something.
good trap door has very sharp spikes.
Even the fucking
directly
bookcase that revolves around,
Yes.
it's just leads to
But
what?
the bookcase is one of the traps, and it spins
It's also
around.
the path to the
But
control
yeah,
room.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna
So it makes
say.
no
But they
sense.
walk through it
Yeah.
in and out. So what's on the other side of this door that kills people if they get trapped? But it's okay if you walk through it willingly.
It is.
Walk, don't run.
Yeah, and
Oh, it's a pool with slippery tiles.
yeah.
and we should say that even after 100%ing the game, correctly, at the end, as Kelly is triumphantly walking away from the camera, you can, as
Yes!
a last
trap her.
kick, just a last kick in the balls, you can trap her like the second before the credits drop, and you'll just see a cutscene where she's like, no.
Yeah.
That's great.
We
you
should
get
have trapped her.
You get an
should've.
achievement for it, actually.
Oh, well, shit, now we
yeah.
gotta go back.
Yeah.
Other difficulties would come to light due to the unconventional nature of the sequences being shot in unison to the software's early development. This made editing extremely unusual to handle, as the team did not have the ability to go back for reshoots or add anything additional to the scenes. Even changing when a performer came into view wasn't possible. Or nobody could be blocked in certain ways. The final stock received was what they had, with the gameplay strictly following only what was on screen. The whole thing was such a huge experiment. It's gray area between movie and game really caused many of the people involved to be speaking almost separate languages to each other while filming. Those from different jobs, different backgrounds, working together to find this common ground. It was super cool. And in the end, everything was shot in 16 days and nights, with that editing and other post-production work taking a couple extra months after. Which I can't imagine what it must have been like to have to put all those pieces together post-filming. Riley later compared it to having to do a giant puzzle of these various hybrid parts. He always described the project as neither a movie nor a game, but rather its own thing, despite its new home now being on a designated video game platform. Either way, the interactivity element was then built, after this. I'm not sure who precisely was responsible for that sick fucking cover art. Although I must point out that both boxes, this and the much lamer looking second one, claim that the game hosts over an hour and a half of real footage. But I have my doubts there, considering...
I think if you... Okay, so the story itself is 45 minutes.
I think it's...
Even though the game...
the cut is 48, I
48
think,
minutes, and then
we
you
were all
have
watching.
all the cuts of all the augers going into traps. I think if you...
Sure, but they're repeated a lot. So it's I feel like in that video, it was probably close to 95%, maybe, of everything in the story, minus, a couple... select couple fail states, and
I think an hour and a half is pushing it. I'd say probably an hour tops, maybe. I don't know. Maybe they actually just they just actually included a bunch of cut footage on the CD, but you don't actually access it.
That's possible.
On the thing, it's no, the footage is in there.
Sex scene.
You're not gonna see it, but it's there.
it's the hot coffee.
Because it's
mod.
the hot coffee mod.
the trap stuff is they're seconds long, really.
Yeah. But then
they
you count them shuffling back and forth before they hit the trap, and there's
Sure.
there's I don't know how many different traps would you say. So even though it's the same one,
maybe their math was just to take all 99 of those,
and then
put
count
it
it
on
all
top
together.
Yeah. But it's whatever. In total, Night Trap was fully completed over a span of just a little over 6 months for $1.5 million. The aforementioned Sewer Shark costed twice that. Left, I guess, no real imprint.
Wow, dang, that was wasted money.
Making each two of the most expensive video games ever at the time.
That is another thing that it's just how is this game not remembered for pushing that either? Pushing that budget boundary.
Yeah, exactly. And and as we've already sung more than a few times, there's also that kick-ass cornball fucking pop new wave song.
Favorite song.
It is.
They made a song
written and performed just for this
game, and it is a phenomenal song.
Here's what's great. According to the in-game end credits and IMDb, the track is by Sunny Blue Skies, a band that I could not find anything else on. But it's now 1989, the year I came to be, and our
God, you're old.
Our interactive campy B movie was ready to hit the market. Only problem was that their control vision was not. In fact, right before its launch, Hasbro pulled the plug on the whole thing, claiming it was simply far too expensive of a product to produce and sell to customers. Its intended retail price was announced to be $199.99.
Is that 80s money?
That's in 80s money. Yeah.
Wait.
What's that in real money?
Ooh. Anybody want to? Anyone want
Yeah, want to convert that?
Google the inflation calculator. I'd actually hate to say it. It's actually quite a lot of money because inflation, especially in recent decades, has become awful, quite bad. Yes.
What's worse is the actual manufacturing of the box drove cost up about $100 more.
Wow.
I have in my notes. It says a total equivalent to $616.70 per unit assembled.
$424.19.
Ooh, they couldn't shave $4 off of it.
That's with inflation.
Well, that's the consumer price, or is that there?
That's the $199.99. What was the other number?
It's just $100 more.
Wait, $299.99?
Yeah, it's because like they would have been selling them at a loss.
Wow.
Essentially, yeah.
That's
which was not as common.
It
back then.
cost $300 to make, and they were selling it for $200.
$630.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, can you imagine that since 1989, the value of the dollar is now worth half of what it was? That was 30 years ago.
It's just funny because it's like
also the amount of money it costs to produce like a PlayStation 5.
A $200 console now is like so low. But so much of this was because of the system's use of its onboard DRAM. For comparison, though, the NES was sold for around $99.99 at this point in its life, while Nintendo themselves weren't taking any loss on the consoles themselves anymore. They might have been in 85
when it came out.
Yeah, but
man, they were really confident that this game was going to really move games if they were like, we're going to sell this at a loss.
Apparently not.
And they
canceled the whole thing.
They were confident when they funded it. Then they started to get cold
when they were all
feet.
coked up, they were like,
once they got
and they
sober.
woke up the next morning and they were like, oh, fuck, we can't do this, man.
Yeah, 1989, everybody started smoking weed, and then they just got paranoid.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Oh, fuck, we're going to lose so much money.
Yeah, he's just like, good news, Jim Down Legal says we just have to fund the game, but once they're done, we're going to say the console's out. We're not doing it anymore.
Now, according to Riley, Hasbro also didn't seem too pleased with the high investment of resources required for each title developed. Like, imagine the film production needed for every single game. It was just too big of an ask. If Night Trap was like 1.5 million,
also you have to consider the fact that Night Trap is 25 minutes long.
Yeah.
There's an hour and a half, air quotes, of footage, but like you have to sell these titles at a competitive price for how much time people can put into them, but you also have to, if you're selling your console at a loss, you have to make all the money back on the game. So if a 25-minute game, theoretically, let's say like 3-4 hour game, has an investment of $1.5 million in 1989 money.
Do you think once they sobered up, they were just like, oh, I thought you could just like reuse all that footage into different games.
Into other games?
I thought it was $1.5 million for a whole for every game we were going to be making.
That's the funny thing that you kind of reminded me with, Austin, is like, how much were they going to sell every tape for? Like, I actually don't know.
Yeah.
$700 in 80
It's like a Neo Geo.
a brick of Coke for each game.
Yeah, the 1.5.
1.5 million? I thought you said $1.5.
I thought you guys were setting up an entire studio with that money.
The director of photography is who? You hired him? We couldn't spend that. Yeah.
You hired Don Burgess? He's going to write Forrest Gump one day.
No, he didn't write it. He's the director of photography. I think Forrest Gump was already a book at that point, right? That cancellation was a pretty significant blow to the team, who really wanted to attempt something different and put a whole lot of effort into it. Like, it was done. Like, many of which who then began to break off in search of new prospects.
Like Forrest Gump.
Yeah, exactly. Fulop left to form a dev studio called PF Magic, who later created the Pets with a Z series of virtual pet simulation
Hell
titles.
yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Hell yeah.
I believe all of their stuff had the Z in the name.
I haven't thought about that since it came out.
Yeah, that was their thing. I don't know. Riley went on.
Sorry, I gotta do a quick Google here.
Riley went on to executive produce The Timekeeper, a sci-fi short film. Zito, though, guess what he did? He decided to purchase the rights to all the abandoned Nemo assets, obviously including Night Trap. So with those under his belt, he then caught wind of something huge, something I might say we extensively covered before, thanks to you, Austin.
You could get Pet Sports on PC
Halo?
for $9.
Shut up, Chelsea, and no, not Halo.
Okay.
I'm talking about the Sony Play Space Station.
Oh, the Nintendo Sony project.
Yes.
The greatest backstab in the history of video gaming.
Yeah, I just had to get this part out there as it was completely unknown to me until this research. Supposedly, Sony was seriously considering Sewer Shark as one of its hit releases for the everyone knows now, soon-to-be dead CD-ROM attachment for the Super NES. This was what even led to the formation of his company, Digital Pictures, who later became the publisher for like the Night Trap that we knew from the.
Wait, they didn't want Night Trap, they wanted Sewer Shark?
Yeah, though they probably would have gotten both, but that was the one they were after.
That well-known classic hit, Sewer Shark.
It costs more money, therefore
It must
has
be
to
better.
It
Yeah.
must be better.
Now, of course, that mess of an initiative kerploded. Zito instead took his pitches over to Sega, being smartly aware that they too would be on the hunt for new titles, specifically for the Western release of their CD add-on for the Genesis. And gosh darn it, a deal was reached, hands were shook, and Night Trap and Sewer Shark finally had a new home. They even had a publisher for them. Sega was the publisher for the initial, for Night Trap's first iteration. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it was Sega. Oh, I already forget what SCAT stood for.
Sega Crap Attack Team.
Yeah, there it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's also why they will have such a prominent place in the courtroom soon. So converting all this was no easy task, especially because the internal hardware inside of the Sega CD was just powerful enough for them to use. But
Couldn't they just change it from .jpeg to .pdf?
yeah, they Googled converter and then dropped
VHSs use JPEGs and CD-ROMs use PDFs. Yeah, you got that right.
But they got it done. Things were looking up again. Everybody was happy, smooth sailing through calm seas. Nothing else could throw a wrench into that fan, right?
No, and then the rest is history. It just came out, was a great game. Nothing happened after that. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So the date is now October 15th, 1992. The Sega CD officially hits the North Americas. The magic of the disc-based technology allowed game files to be nearly 320 times larger than those pesky Genesis cartridges owners were rocking before.
Wow.
Total
It could be
bullshit.
320
Throw them
megs
shits away.
instead of one.
I was about to make that joke. Wow, 300 whole megabytes.
Got to it first.
Its premier variant, ironically, was also priced at fucking literally $100 more than what the Control Vision would have been. That was the Sega CD at launch.
How much
yeah.
was it?
$300
$300
for an attachment for the Genesis.
So
that was $600 something in real money.
yep.
Yeah.
So
There's probably a reason why none of us had one or knew anyone with one growing up.
630. I
I-
remembered the number.
I mean, I guess it had the power of Sega's name behind it, but still, I just thought that was funny.
So I wanted to, after we played this, and I was very charmed by it. And I
Yeah.
was like, I really kind of want to own this. And
How much is a Sega CD now?
a
Did you look
Sega
it up?
CD attachment is still about $300 on eBay
Holy shit.
altogether.
Yeah,
I
but
don't-
that's not bad considering if you bought it in the 80s, it would have cost you $630.
Although,
God, I'm gonna buy it right now. Thank you for convincing me, Chelsea.
although the reason that I said variant is because they did re-release the Sega CD multiple times in different form factors. Like,
Yeah, Sega was all whack back in the day, man.
right?
They were just like,
It was great.
they were like, we finished the prototype, and they're like, all right, ship it. And you're like, wait, no, it's prototype. And they're like, ah!
Yeah,
Nah.
we talked about it
We have the Dreamcast coming out. Doesn't matter.
in our Sega series where like the Saturn was the one that was like, it's out now, and retailers were like, what?
What do you
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I do have the Sega Saturn.
Yes.
I have that D Into Darkness game that
Oh,
that you played.
Holy shit!
I do. Yeah, I can.
Fucking A.
I think I'll go when
That's awesome.
I'll show
I
it to you
gotta take
next
a look at
time.
that.
I've got that. I got Daytona Racing.
Oh, Daytona USA.
Daytona USA.
Classic.
Yep.
Which, speaking of, for our first back to the Sega CD, we got 9 launch titles.
Ooh.
The add-on accessory didn't exactly go on to have itself a massive library, though. Out of the gate,
To be fair,
That
it had
wasn't
more
bad.
than the PS5.
burn,
Had way more than the Xbox Series X
and the Switch.
with a big fat 0.
The Switch launched with
Breath of the Wild.
4 games,
Yeah, something like that.
1-2 Switch.
Yeah, 9's a lot in today's standards.
Yeah, no, totally. So of these, there was our topic of the day, along with Sewer Shark.
What was the name of that game?
Night Trap.
Night
I can't do it as well. Along with Sewer Shark, a Sherlock Holmes game. I don't know if it's a part of that series.
Is it Schwan?
Yeah, Schwan.
Schwan. In this game, you play Sherlock Holmes' dog.
There's Cobra Command, whatever Chuck Rock is.
I
Black
want to play Chuck Rock.
Chuck Rock.
Chuck Rock sounds
Chuck
fun.
That
Rock.
sounds like a great game.
Black Hole Assault. 2, count 'em, 2 interactive music video games, neither featuring the cars.
No, wasn't it Marky Mark? One
Yes,
of them?
so
Yeah.
one of them was In Access and the other was Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Yep.
Which, if
Nice.
you haven't seen the videos of that, I highly recommend it because it looks
Yeah.
fucking awful.
Do either of them sing Night Trap?
No.
No.
What's
Yeah,
the point?
Yeah, I agree.
I'm
They
telling
were,
you.
all, they were all shadows of the real music video game of the era, the Spice World video game.
horrible. It's the
Wonderful.
worst music
Oh,
video
you
game I've
just
ever
didn't
played.
know how
You
to
just
play.
weren't good at it, dude.
Yeah, Randall, you're just bad at video
Ugh.
games, specifically music rhythm games.
Don't. That's you're editing that out.
I'm gonna amplify the volume while everyone hears that.
The Spice World video game is the best music music
Just
Music rhythm game ever made.
I
Yeah.
couldn't even say it.
pull that fucking cord. back
Guitar
out.
Hero, never heard of it.
I'm
Rock
telling you.
band, who? What are we talking? Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So last but not least, there was a Sega Genesis collection because apparently they were already doing that shit back then too. I really thought Sonic CD was there at the beginning, but that must have come later, I suppose. I don't know. Now at the time,
Yeah, Sonic CD was
I was a little
what year did this launch?
92. It's
Yeah,
October.
Sonic CD was 93.
All right.
And then Echo
the Dolphin?
Tides of Time was 1994.
Mm.
Was that a second echo?
that's
or
a
was that...
se-
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
it's
the
a
time
sequel.
that's the time travel.
You gotta follow the the universe.
I don't know the echo lore.
What? What kind of childhood did you live?
Yeah.
Yeah, God.
Why do you even have that Echo the Dolphin tattoo?
Just a poser.
Now, at the
I
time
wanted
of
you
this
guys to
launch,
think I was cool.
it worked. At the time of this launch, reception for the device was mixed. Some reviews were high, stating it was nice to be able to upgrade the Genesis and expand its capabilities without really hooking up anything new. That and the sound was much better. Others were less positive, saying the library wasn't great, the video quality substandard, the enhancements minimal to the games that were just picked up from carts. It was expensive. Blah blah blah. And I'm just kidding, by the way. I never had one of these, as I said, or I even knew anyone that did.
I've
It
never
seemed like it was
seen a
kinda
Sega
shitty.
CD in person.
Yeah, the one game store near us does have one, and I didn't see the price. It might have just been like, we want this displayed in our
item.
shop,
Yeah.
like a novelty. And if we haven't already specified, which no, we absolutely did. Sorry, the edition of Night Trap that we all played was the 25th anniversary that was released in 2018, and that, as we probably played a huge role in our personal enjoyment.
Oh
as-
yeah, I saw what it looked like before.
They did a whole bunch of work, as well as changes to that version that we will get into
That game
later.
is
but
unplayable.
Yeah.
It looks like not even just the way it plays and just accessibility, but like you can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's all pixelated. It looks
Yeah.
like garbage.
Yeah.
And so nobody ever had access to one of these? At any
God
point?
no, I was
Okay.
a Nintendo kid.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
but
no, that's what I was saying. It's
I
just
had
like,
I had two Genesis.
Yeah, did you have the
Genesis?
32X?
What's the plural
It's
of
a
genocide?
genocide.
I had two
Yeah.
genocide.
It's just kind of a hole in my gaming history.
I never
this
had
thing.
the 32X, and I never had the Sega CD because the Nintendo 64 came out later.
Yeah, that was 96.
And that was what made me like video games. Sorry, Sega Genesis.
I'm
Don't
gonna
apologize to the
I'm gonna
Genesis.
tell the Sega Genesis you said that.
Okay, that's fine.
But yeah,
As
this-
long as I can still play NHL 94 and that's in Street Fighter 2. Those are the only games
No.
I played. Oh, man.
it came out the same year as you, Chelsea.
What?
The CD. Sega CD.
No, I thought it came out in '93.
Yeah, it was 92.
No, I was born in '98.
So how are the sales? Honestly, that's kind of a loaded question to answer. Production problems of the unit only allowed about 50,000 in the U.S. on shelves day one, which they did go through. This
I was gonna say that's probably like 49,999 more than they needed.
This included with the Blockbuster deal they had that they gave the customers the ability to rent them. By the end of 92, 200,000 Sega CDs were sold here. Those stats were even lower in Europe. I believe Japan's might have been twice ours, though. But upon its later discontinuation, 2.24 million of the attachments were bought. Except that's a tale for another time. We're here to talk about fucking Night Trap. God damn it.
Night Trap.
So how did it do on its release?
Flawless.
Divisive. There were folks both in and outside of the industry who saw what it was doing as being pretty groundbreaking. That and their observations regarding the B-movie setting around something akin to a campy teen horror flick were positive too. Same with the, quote, warped and tacky sense of humor, further adding to the...
that is a good
Wait,
way
is that
to
a compliment?
I'm gonna read this one.
I think it's that is a good way to describe that
Yeah.
story. It is warped and tacky. It's good, and it really does give it some charm.
Less praise, though, is given to the actual gameplay, with the majority of, remember, this is this version, with the majority of the complaints being in part to its tough difficulty.
Oh God,
Yeah.
yeah.
Shallow options on input as well, and visual distractions away from the core plot that was happening. Not particularly far from the impressions surrounding Dragon's Lair and Space Age, close to a decade earlier.
Space Ace.
Space Ace, sorry. Which, fuck those fucking games, by the way.
I'm not a fan of.
They
Dragon
wish they
Slayer.
could have been Night Trap.
Night Trap is
Far and
far
away.
less frustrating than,
Yeah.
than Dragon's Lair.
As
Dragon's
much as I
Lair.
love Don
Yeah.
Bluth's animation.
Yeah.
That's, yeah. The actual video quality had its ups and downs. It did look all right and run smoothly for the era, but the system's low color limit didn't make the picture look amazing, especially with more darker sequences, like the damn driveway. Now, there were ports to other consoles down the road, each with varying degrees of response. The tone also frequently flipped around wildly based on what we're going to get into next time. So we apologize. This was going to initially be one episode, but we just had so much fun that
Screwing around too
yeah, we're
much.
screwing around that well, you'll just have to join us again in on our
Part 2.
part 2.
Where we'll get very
Part
in
two
depth
of-
about the Snyder Cut, and also maybe Night Trap if we have time.
Night Trap.
No, I think everybody already knows what I'm hinting at is
Snyder Cut. Yes.
no, god damn it. If you tell people that, they won't come back.
Batman says the fuck word.
He does. So does
Yeah.
Cyborg.
Yeah.
Ugh. All right. Well,
Not my Batman.
if you'd like to know, just what went down behind those Senate room doors, and
Whoa, spoilers.
I didn't say like, and as well as a bit of where that little label on every video game box you see, like how that came to be, then then please return again.
And while you're waiting, check out our 3-parter on the ESRB.
Yes, yeah, that's from quite
Very
some time
early.
ago.
It's like episode 20 something.
Yeah, that was designed to go much more in detail. I'm gonna keep this kind of more specifically about Night Trap.
Yeah.
But it will still be a vital part in kind of this game's history and legacy, and that will take us up to today, where our new release.
Yeah. Spoiler
editions
alert.
of it.
Joe Lieberman turns into the twist villain in that story coming up.
He stole the money from the safe.
That was
Yeah, it was him the whole time.
Point the revolver at him.
Yeah, he pointed his.
He pointed the lethal enforcers.
The lethal enforcer's light gun at the rest of his family, and at him and Hillary Clinton and. Was that Leland? No, Leland Yu was.
That was the Grand Theft Auto. But yeah, Austin, do you want to do some plugs?
Oh man,
Plug,
I know.
Plug.
Oh man,
You still remember how?
I don't know. I gotta shake the rust off. Thank you so much for tuning in, and also,
this
probably, like Randy said, this probably won't be our first episode back, but peek behind the curtain. It is one of the first episodes back for us. So if you're still listening, thank you for dealing with our little break there.
Our reinvented studio that we have now.
Yes, and if you somehow stumbled upon this episode and it's your first one, we've given you
huge Night Trap community.
We've given you a few years
a couple to go back to, but we have years of content, so you can check that all out at hotbuttoncast.com. And rate and review on
subscribe.
iTunes.
This was always
hit that bell.
Hit that. Nope, that's YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. We have iTunes, Spotify, Amazon has podcasts now, Google Play. Just go to the website. There's links to all that stuff, as well as our social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Hot Button Cast.
Yes.
And you can follow there for updates about our now back to regularly scheduled program.
Yeah, we have a lot in store in the future. That's not all Night Trap related.
Night Trap.
Disappointing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm only listening to this
We're a
episode.
Night Trap podcast.
But yes, we've got a bit in store, and thank you all for joining me today in this room.
Yes,
yes,
thanking me.
Yes.
You're welcome. Of course.
You specifically.
Yeah. Screw you guys.
It was an honor. You didn't even welcome me. I was actually just curious why a bunch of people were showing up to my basement every weekend. And
Matt just found his way down.
He wandered down here, and I didn't have the heart to tell him that he had to leave.
The issue is Austin put a blanket on this couch. Matt's just been sleeping on this couch for weeks.
Yeah, you guys took my napping couch. Now I'm here.
Yeah.
I also I technically did not introduce you as the first time of being on our show, but it might technically not be.
That's a good point.
This will be the first recording.
It's the first recording.
But,
That's fine.
But get used to all these voices.
It's been very fun, especially with Night Trap. I'm very
I'm
happy
out.
at
It's a
that
good time. Yeah. Oh yeah, Austin is also announcing his retirement.
Yeah.
Halfway
I'm
through
gonna
the
start playing
series.
professional baseball.
I thought you were gonna.
That's a Michael Jordan joke for y'all.
Yeah, I remember from Space Jam.
Yeah.
No, I thought he golfed in.
He plays golf too.
He plays golf, but he left basketball to play professional baseball, and then he was bad at it. And then Danny DeVito kidnapped Charles Barkley. All of that happened in real life.
All right,
and then
we have to go.
And then he gets sucked through the hole.
Please join us on part 2.
How much of that's
we're
getting cut
gonna
out?
keep it just as a 2-parter, so you don't have to worry about.
I
getting
control
sprung
the
up
edit
on
now. All this is left in.
Wait, don't you guys normally do
Part 3 will just be the song.
social media accounts? Or?
He did that.
that,
Were
Matt.
you not paying attention?
No,
Twitter,
I wasn't.
Instagram, Facebook. Twitter.
Night Trap.
For you, Matt, specifically. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
I thought you were gonna say for you Matts out there that might have missed it the first time.
At Hot Button Cast.
Yes. Good night.